Listen closely. If you sit entirely still in the dark, you can almost hear it. It's a low mechanical hum. The rhythmic, antagonizingly slow back and forth rotation of a cheap plastic desk fan. The scent in the air isn't fresh. It's a suffocating mix of stale, oxidized grease, dust trapped in carpet fibers, and the faint, sweet chemical smell of old birthday cake. You are trapped in an office that feels less like a workplace and more like a concrete tomb. The wallpaper is peeling. On the wall to your right, the poster of 3 cartoon animals stare back at you under a bold, ironically cheerful headline, "Celebrate." But there's nothing to celebrate here, not at all at 2:00 a.m. Not when the metal security doors on either side of you are wide open, yawning into the pitch-black hallways, consuming the light. Welcome back to Count the Dark Nights, a Five Nights at Freddy's podcast. The podcast where we pull back the synthetic fur, cut through the corporate static, and stare directly into the digital abyss of Five Nights at Freddy's universe. And I'm your host, Lucifer of Dundersill. In our first episode, we established the boundaries of our nightmare. We looked at the surface, but tonight we begin a massive chronological journey. Today's episode is titled The Tragedy of the First Shift. Over the next 40 minutes, we are going to reconstruct a timeline shattered by malice. We aren't just going to look at the game mechanics tonight. We're examining the human architecture. We are going to look at how simple of a childhood wonder was systematically corrupted, turned into a slaughterhouse, and left to rot in the American Recession of 1993. To understand the rusty, bleeding animatronics of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, we have to travel backward. We have to wipe away the bloodstains of the 90s and look at the time when the corporate empire was a single local diner, where a place where the sun still shone and the characters on the stage didn't have bodies hidden inside them. Let us turn back the clock to the late 1970s. Let us look at the foundation. Two men. One stage. Every tragedy requires a catalyst. For this story, the catalyst is a partnership between two men who possessed entirely opposite souls, Henry Emily and William Afton. Think about them not as pixelated sprites, but as real people stepping into a small commercial building in New Harmony, Indiana. Henry Emily was a dreamer. He was a mechanical prodigy, a man who looked at a copper wire, fanatical cylinders, and steel skeletons and saw life. He wanted to build things that would make children laugh. He created the technology. Then there was William Afton. Afton didn't care about the beauty of machinery. He cared about the psychology of it. He was a businessman, the logician, a man who calculated the margins. But he had the flair for the dramatic. And behind his sharp suits, professional attire, professional smile, was a profound, hollow void, a malicious curiosity. Afton saw Henry's creations not as art, but as the perfect plaything, the perfect veil masquerade for his chaos. Together they built Fredbear's family diner. And on the stage stood only two figures. Fredbear, a massive golden bear with a purple top hat and bow tie larger than life, and a spring bonnie, a matching golden rabbit. But these two weren't just ordinary robots. No. Henry invented something revolutionary and deeply flawed. The spring lock mechanism. Let's theory-craft the realities of a spring lock suit. Imagine a heavy skeletal metal frame, an endoskeleton wrapped inside a thick, suffocating costume. To make it a costume a human could wear, a hand crank was inserted into the back. As you turn the crank, you hear the agonizing screech of metal as tight, highly pressured springs pulled the robotic parts backward, pinning them against the inner walls of the suit. This left a hollow space in the center just large enough for a man to step inside. It's not good. The marveling of engineering, but there was inherent risks, including that the creation itself was a total death trap. If a single drop of moisture, sweat from a hot performer, a tear from a crying child, or even a heavy breath hit those tense, strained springs, the locks would snap in a fraction of a second. The coiled metal would release. The robotic endoskeleton would violently cave inward, crushing the human occupant from the inside out, flushing flesh with rusted steel, each metal joint slowly stabbing into you, while you slowly bleed out, never to be heard from again. Although the inherent risk, Henry built them to innovate. Well, William looked at them and realized something else. He realized that when a man stepped inside the Golden Rabbit, he ceased to be William Afton. He became a cartoon, completely untouchable. The power of absolute camouflage began to warp his mind. As we cross the 8-minute mark of our journey, the calendar pages flip to 1983. Fredbear's is booming. But inside the Afton household, a private horror is unfolding. William Afton's youngest son, known to the community simply as the Crying Child, is living in a perpetual psychological siege. Why is he so terrified of the diner? Why did he weep at the mere sight of golden mascots? Some theorists suggest that he witnessed something he shouldn't have in the back rooms. Perhaps he saw some employees suffering a spring lock failure, or he saw his father testing the limitations of the suits. Whatever the truth, his fear was weaponized against him by his own older brother, Michael Afton. Michael wore a gray tank top and a terrifying hollow-eyed foxy mask, jumping from out behind the television screens under beds, torturing the boy whose mind was already fragile. And interesting enough, that foxy mask was apparently from his brother's treasured fox plush. Think about the environment. The Crying Child's bedroom. It's only a flashlight. The door's left ajar. The plush toys on the bed. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, his only friends. And yet they feel like sentinels watching him. Then came the birthday party of 1983. Fredbear's family diner packed with shouting children. The smell of grease, and the loud clanking performance of the animatronics on stage. Michael and his friends wearing the mask of the core 4 characters to the corner of the weeping boy near the stage. They mock him. They call him a baby. Let's reconstruct the audio for a moment. And of that moment, the laughing of teenagers, the desperate hyperventilating screams of a terrified child. Guys, I think the little man wants to give Fredbear a big kiss. They lift up the boy. 4 pairs of hands hoist his small frame towards the massive singing mouth of the golden bear. They shove his head directly inside the mechanical jaw of Fredbear. The boy is crying hysterically. His tears pool on the cold metal. His hot, frantic breath fills the interior jaw, and then the laughter stops. A sharp, metallic echoes through the diner. The moisture triggers the spring locks. The pneumatic jaw designed to move heavy metal components snaps shut with thousands of pounds of pressure. The silence that followed must have been deafening. The trying child's skull was crushed. He doesn't die instantly. He lingers in a flat-lining hospital room, hearing a distant sound of a radar monitor before his soul slips away. This was the end of Fredbear's family diner. The government stepped in. The public was horrified. The diner was closed. The golden suits were decommissioned, condemned to the dark, forgotten rooms. But for William Afton, this wasn't a tragedy. It was a revelation. He realized that life could be taken by plastic and iron. His obsession with the barrier between the living and the mechanical officially crossed into madness. We move past the 12-minute mark into the year 1983. Fazbear Entertainment, a corporate entity born from the ashes from the diner, attempts to wash the blood off its hands. They build a new location, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. They replace the golden mascots with fabric-covered friendly versions. Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie the Bunny, Chica the Chicken, and Foxy the Pirate. But William Afton hasn't left. He is a ghost in his own company. And on June 26, 1985, he decides to finish what the animatronics started. Imagine the scene. A crowded birthday party. The noise is overwhelming. The children are laughing. The parents are distracted. William slips into the employee-only safe room, a room hidden from the camera system, mapped up only in the minds of the original creators, and invisible to the animatronics themselves. He puts down the old dusty spring Bonnie suit. He cranks the locks back. He steps inside. He doesn't look like a monster to them. He looks like a beautiful cartoon character. He walks out into the checkered floors, waving a golden paw. One by one, he targets them. Susie, a little weeping girl because her dog was run over. The golden rabbit whispers to her, "He's not really dead. He's in the back. Come look." He takes her hand. Then he takes Gabriel. Then Jeremy. Then Fritz. And finally, the 5th child. 5 children lured behind a false wall into a room with no windows, no cameras, and no escape. What happened in that room? Is there something the lore leaves into our darkest imaginations? But we know the aftermath. William Afton murdered those 5 children. But he didn't just hide the bodies, he stuck them, jamming their small bodies deep inside the metallic framework of the 4 active animatronics on stage. And then he left the 5th child spirit to linger in the discarded golden Freddy suit. Let's look at the true crime evidence provided in the game files. If you look closely at the walls of the East Hall in the original game, the rules change into newspaper clippings. Let's read them verbatim, reflecting on what they mean. Kids vanish at the local pizzeria. Bodies not found. 2 local children were reportedly lured into a back room. While the suspect has been charged, the bodies themselves were never recovered. And later, local pizzeria threatened with closure of a sanitation. Parents reported a foul odor like blood coming from the beloved mascots. Blood and mucus were observed leaking from the eyes and mouths of the characters. One parent likened them to reanimated corpses. That's a bad omen. Think about the absolute horror of that corporate reality. Families were eating pizza, celebrating birthdays, while the animatronics on stage were actively decomposing around the remains of the missing children. But something miraculous and terrifying happened. An entity known as the Puppet, possessed by Henry's own daughter, Charlie, who Afton murdered years prior in a rainy alleyway, steps into a dark in the famous minigame Give Gifts, Give Life. She places the animatronics' heads onto the spirits of the children. She binds them. The metal became their skin, the endoskeleton became their bones. The children were gone, but the monsters were not awake. We cross into the 18-minute of our narrative. The year is 1993. The glory days of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza are completely dead. The company is bleeding money out of every artery. The rumors of missing children, the foul smells, and the health code violations have turned the franchise into an urban legend and a joke. This brings us to the actual gameplay of the first game. And when you look at it through a lore-crafting lens, the mechanics became far more sinister than a simple video game. Why do you have limited power? Think about it. You are a night security guard, Mike Schmidt, working for a multi-million-dollar corporation. Why is your office rationing electricity? Because Fazbear Entertainment is so deeply broke during the 1993 recession, they cannot even afford a basic electricity bill. They value saving dollars on power more than the value of survival of the minimum wage employee. They give you a finite battery. If it drains to 0, your security doors fly open, your cameras die, you are left helpless in the dark. Let's analyze this behavior of the spirits trapped inside the suits during a shift. They aren't behaving like programmed robots. They are behaving like angry, confused, vengeful ghosts who mistake every adult male for their killer, William Afton. Look at Bonnie and Chica. They wander the hallways, but when they get close to your window, they don't just stand there. They twitch. They emit a low, distorted, human groaning sound. It is the sound of vocal cords made of plastic and nylon, trying to scream out a decade of trapped agony. Look at Foxy the Pirate. He's kept in Pirate's Cove, behind the star-patterned curtain, with a sign that reads, "Out of order." Why is he out of order? Because the spirit is erratic. He doesn't wander, he hides, but the moment you stop watching him, the moment he realizes your defense is weak, he breaks into a full sprint, running down the west hall, his metal hooks breaking against the wall, coming for your life. And then, there is Freddy Fazbear. During the early nights, Freddy barely moves. He stays on the stage, his eyes glowing in the dark. Why? Because he's studying you. Freddy is the mastermind. When he does move, he stays entirely in the shadows. You can only track him by listening for his deep, booming, robotic laugh echoing through Freddy Fazbear's facility. And if your power drops to 0, the ultimate psychological torture begins. The office goes black. Everything is silent. Then at the left doorway, Freddy's face illuminates with a soft flickering glow. He plays the music box song, the Tordre March. It's a mocking lullaby. He waits for the song to end, waits for the final bit of hope to drain from your body, before he lunges and strikes you down. As we hit the final segment of tonight's shift, moving from the 22nd minute to whatever we stop at, we must talk about our only companion in this digital hell. Phone Guy. Who was Phone Guy? He wasn't just a recording, he was a long-time employee. He was a man who saw everything. He saw the diner fall. He saw the missing children. He knew the corporate cover-ups, yet his voice is incredibly unnervingly casual. He talks to you about the animatronics trying to stuff you into a suit, like it's just a minor workplace hazard, saying, he remembers to tell you, remember to smile, you are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. As well as just saying, kids getting stuffed in suits, you also may get stuffed into suits, yada yada. But on night 4, the corporate facade crumbles. The tape recorded for night 4 is a historical record of the murder. Let us dissect that audio text fragment by fragment. The call begins with Phone Guy sounding frantic, unlike his usual calm self. Hello? Hello? Hey, wow, day 4. I knew you could do it. But in the background, you can hear it. A low, rhythmic thumping. That is Foxy the Pirate banging on the left security door. Phone Guy has used up his power. He is trapped. He continues. Hey, do me a favor, maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm gonna try and hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. Think about what he is asking. He knows he's going to die. He knows he's going to be stuffed into an empty suit, his body broken by the endoskeleton. He's begging the next guard, begging us to find his corpse. Then the music box begins, the Tordre March plays, Freddy is in the room, Phone Guy stops talking, he realizes his time's up. You have a loud, distorted groan from Chica, Bonnie, and finally a loud echoing golden screech. Static cuts the tape. Let's theorycraft that final second. The screech heard at the end of Phone Guy's tape isn't a standard jump scare sound of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, or Foxy. It is a hollow-pitched lowered screech of Golden Freddy. Why Golden Freddy? If Phone Guy had the doors closed against Foxy, Freddy was playing his music box, why did Golden Freddy deliver the final blow? Because Golden Freddy, the fifth child, is a manifestation of pure vengeance. They don't obey the physical laws of the doors. They teleported into the office. Phone Guy didn't just get caught by a malfunctioning robot. He was executed by the deepest, most vengeful spirit in the entire lore. When you look back across these 20 to 25 minutes, you see a perfect circle of tragedy. The blood spilled at Fredbear's family diner in 1983 due to a reckless prank created a monster out of William Afton. That monster spilled more blood in 1985, trapping 5 innocent souls. And by 1993, those souls, corrupted by the years of isolation and corporate neglect, took the life of Phone Guy and threatened the life of Mike Schmidt. The tragedy of the first shift isn't just about surviving until 6 a.m. It's about realizing that inside that building, the clock is always ticking down to 0, and the past never, ever stays buried. Thank you for spending tonight's shift with me on Count the Dark Nights. For our next episode, we will step out of the 90s and look into the fiery depths of what came next. Until then, make sure to check the vents, watch your power levels, flip your security monitors, and keep your eyes on the dark. Good night, and try to survive until morning.